So yeah, the opportunity happened about 2 years ago, and the short story is that I was accepted into their executive program, which is the immersive week of essentially exponential technology topics in a setting of about 100 people from around the world in all different segments of business and industry. So, and it was in Mountain View, California, so kind of in the heart of a lot of innovation and such. And yeah, I was immersed. I really disconnected from my normal personal life and my business life and said, I'm committing to this. And every day you had the opportunity to hear from some of the most amazing minds and some of the most amazing stories and things in the world. So, the one story I just told about Peter and what he was doing in his personal life with his health was one. I was inspired by topics around 3D printing and 3D printing foods even. That was very interesting to me to think about having a printer in your home that is printing food. Crazy, right? So of course they're printing tools and they're printing things that are being used around the world already. And we're seeing that today with COVID. I was on this is a bit of a side story, but on a call with a colleague of mine, Doug McKay, and he showed me, turned his screen and showed me he was 3D printing mask clips for masks in his home. And then there was a whole place he could take them and they were getting used. So anyway, 3D printing, topics like that were coming up. And this was 2 years ago when it wasn't really affordable for a lot of these things. But, I left there changed, Terry. I did. I truly did. I left there. I've always been, I felt an opportunistic, but I left there thinking that, the future is definitely going to be awesome and fantastic. A lot of the challenges that we are experiencing today will be overcome. I left there with an appreciation. I was the only one out of a cohort of about 100 people that was actually connected in the agriculture industry. So I was, sitting at tables with people from the fashion industry and people from the transportation business and energy and you name it. It was great, but that was one of the also learnings for me was to actually force myself outside of agriculture more often and attend more conferences and more meetings because no offense to the people that are probably listening to this podcast, but when all we do is hang out with each other, we don't get as much new ideas. So yeah, for me, the hairy, audacious goals and the big goals, I don't have it. It's a blank piece of paper in front of me today, but honestly, I'm driven towards a lot of what we've talked about on this podcast today. I'm driven towards closing a gap between agriculture and food and between food and health and ultimately between agriculture and health. I think those industries are so interconnected that we could do a better job at connecting those with maybe it's technology, maybe it's conversation, maybe it's events. I think those three for me, the world is always going to need to eat, and we've heard the projections on what we have to grow by 2050. I'm not here to repeat that. But I actually don't believe we do have to grow that much more by 2050. I think we've got to grow and distribute more evenly our capabilities here. So yeah, that's probably the most elusive way of me saying I've got goals to be more connected with food and more connected with health than I have been. I've always been connected to farming and I always will be. But I'm starting to appreciate the 9 crops that you grow, Terry. I'm starting to appreciate how important those are for what I eat and what I put on the plates of my family. And I think that's probably something that I overlook.